Welcome to the DM and Friends. Today I'm going to talk about initiative, and I'm going to give a brief history of how it's evolved in our game, and then I'm also going to talk about what I do as a DM and how I run my games. So the evolution of initiative for Dungeons and Dragons got its start in chainmail, and it was very side based. A lot of these early systems were side based. So the higher die, they use a D6, and the higher the die, that side would go first. And other factors got involved in there, but in a nutshell, that is how it worked. It was the higher die of the D6, and that side would go versus the next side, and then you'd go back to the next combat round. And so that was in chainmail, and then original D&D comes out in '74, and it basically was meant to adopt what chainmail was doing and use the D6 die, and it was very side based again. So the party would roll against the monsters, and the higher of the two would go first, and then alternate over, and then next combat round. And I've also seen it to where it was just back and forth, or initiative rolled every round. So I've actually seen it both ways. I don't think in OD&D it really explains whether initiative should be rolled every round, or is it just once and then you alternate back and forth. So interesting fact to kind of find out. But so that was OD&D and chainmail. And then in '77, Holmes comes out, and Holmes throws a whole different twist. And that twist is on page 20 of the Holmes Blue Book, and it talks about the when two individuals are in combat, it's the higher dexterity that strikes first. Well, that is, and then it goes on and says, if you don't have the dexterity, the DM should roll it up right then and there, determine it, and if they're within one or two pips or numbers, then you would roll a D6, and the higher would go. Well, that to me causes an issue because you don't have a dex for a certain monster. You could wing it, but anyway, so and what does that mean for the party too? So I've seen a lot of people that run homes that just do the side initiative just like OD&D does, and done. So that was Holmes. And then in '77, when AD&D comes out, AD&D, if you do it by the book, is a D6 also, but it adds a lot of factors in there. You have surprise, and and it's segment based, but it adds, it's a little complicated. And there's just I feel it's overly complicated, to be honest with you. I mean, once you get the hang of it, and I'll talk a little bit later about some ways to read up on it, because it is kind of all over the place in the AD&D books, in the DMG. But so that continues the side-based method, where you're rolling side versus side, and then for AD&D you are adding things like casting time and dexterity adjustments, and things like that. So in '81, Mulvey comes out, and Mulvey continues on the side method of initiative, but it breaks it down into an easier, I think, easier than AD&D method of higher the die roll on each side. So let's say players versus the monsters. So the higher is going to win on initiative, and then whoever is the higher of that and goes, they have four different categories or steps within initiative for that side to go. And that step is movement first. Well, let me start this way. Movement first, then missile weapons, then spells, and then melee. So and it just goes down that formula, and then the next side after that is done, the next side uh, goes and does the same thing. The monsters would do that, or whoever lost the role. But it's very interesting because that side gets to do uh, movement, combat, like everything, and it's very advantageous um, for the winning side. Um, so that was Mulvey. Now, Mensa Redbox comes in, and I believe, and if I am wrong, please correct me, but I believe they basically Mensa basically used what was in Mulvey and grabbed that over because it's the same exact, it's pretty much the same thing. I think as went to someone like expert, and he added some interesting pieces, but as far as for the Mensa Redbox, it was almost identical to Mulvey, where side based again. It and had the four steps within initiative. Um, very cut and dry, very easy. They don't say it's the gold standard for D&D for nothing. That system was very good too. Then in 1989, there's a pretty big shift, and that shift is where second edition used a D10, modifiers for decks, and casting time and stuff like that, and it moved it to a individual initiative. Um, that it was a big shift, and so third edition comes out and piggybacks onto that, and now is using a D20, and the D20 plus Dex, and then there's a fixed order in the initiative order, so everybody's individual. So a player could be here, monster could be here, player, monster, and you'd have to have an initiative tracker of some sort to do that. Very cool system, but that was 3.0. And then and noted they changed to a D20, which I think they were trying to standardize dice rolls and make things everything D20 based, and make the D20 more prevalent die to use. I mean, think of like DCs and stuff like that. So and then fourth edition comes around in 2008. Same thing. I think it's almost identical to third edition. They use the same type of system, D20, decks, modifiers, boom, individual. I remember when I used to do encounters back in the day for fourth edition, I would have a whiteboard tracker and write all the monsters, players, and all that, and just go down the list from 1 to 10, or 1 to whatever, and it worked really well. Kind of slows down initiative, in my opinion, but that's the trade-off there. And then fifth edition, D20 again, decks, fixed order, very similar. Obviously, in fifth edition, there are variants to initiative that are offered, but the default kind of stays simple and predictable. That thing. So that's the kind of the history of the evolution of how it very much so shifted from a side-based initiative. This side goes, that side goes, the winner, and then it kind of really got to individual initiative where it breaks. Players could be at the back of the initiative order or the front, and monsters could be right in the middle, or they could go first. So that's kind of the evolution of how initiative kind of just changed over the years. So as far as other systems other than D&D, there are so many different methods of doing initiative. One favorable mention that I will say is for Adventures Dark and Deep. There is there's a decent D10 system for initiative, and I think he has simplified it pretty nice to where it's a D10 roll. It's individual based D10 roll, dexterity, and then very specific numbers for certain things like someone that there's no weapon attacking someone with the weapons, a +1 on their die roll. So the lowest is better, obviously, and that's the segment that you would come in at. Um, potions a D4 +1 on top of your initiative roll. A rod is +3. A wand is +1. Lighting an oil like a Molotov cocktail takes 5 segments. So these are added to your initiative roll. Very, very easily done, but very similar to a lot of the methods like in second edition and stuff like that. Over the years, I've used all kinds of different methods for initiative, and now I have narrowed it down to 2 different ways. And it really depends on what type of game I'm playing. So if I am playing a con game, I use Mulvey or the red box method. So that is side initiative D6 and the movement missile spell melee. And I find that very fast and very easy for any kind of convention type game that I kind of want. We only have a very limited amount of time, usually a 4-hour segment, and we don't want to get bogged down with players figuring out certain aspects that I'll talk about in a minute. But what I'll do is I will have first player roll for round 1, and then resolve that second player. So I'll go around the room, gives everybody an opportunity to roll a dice for combat. So the other method I use is really in my home games and in my campaign games, and that's a little bit more complex. And so this really it puts it on the players. So the players have to have their numbers ready and be able to pull it right up when it's their turn to roll initiative. So for a campaign game like what I run on my Monday night games, I do a individual D10 roll for each character, and then they add certain factors into the roll. So it's usually their dex adjustment. It would be, believe it or not, their weapon speed. It's also going to be if they do any type of movement. So the way I kind of determine that is that each 10 feet or each movement rate will add a segment to their die roll. So it's really a +1. It would be casting time. And those type of things. So a player would basically roll a d10, add those modifiers, and then tell me what their number is. So for instance, a quick person with a bow, which a bow is a 0 weapon speed in my book, could be very, very low. Somebody with a dagger could be very, very low. And somebody with a high dex is very low. So I use that. Now that has the potential to slow down combat. So I rely, like I said a second ago, I really rely on my players to have those numbers already down on their sheet so they can just roll a d10 and say, oh, I need to add boom, boom, boom. And back to when I'm asking as a DM for their intentions, they'll say, okay, I want to run over here and do this. Okay, so I'll say, well, then that modification would be because of that movement, you're going to add this to your die roll on top of what you're doing. So that for me, it really adds a kind of a flavor of realism that I like. But it does have the potential to slow down combat if the players don't have their adjustments ready and calculate. Because if you're calculating that every single round, it gets really, really slow and like bleh. So I find it in my game. Everybody's fully on board with that, and it really runs very well. I add situational modifiers for initiative. Charging for me is just the movements. And I don't want to get into the combat side of it, but the longer weapon would go first on a charge, that kind of stuff. So it's a very, very, for me, easy way to do initiative. One honorable mention about initiative is there is an article by author DM Prada. His name is David M. Prada. A lot of you guys know him from the con scene and things that he's edited and done in forums. But he wrote a document called Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Initiative and Combat Table. And that document, 20-page document, summarizes how Advanced Dungeons and Dragons should do initiative and combat. It's really in depth, really, there's a lot to it. It was written in 2006. I think I want to say it came out in Dragon's Foot, is where he first published it back in the day. But for a really good understanding of how initiative, because we're talking about I'm first edition, how initiative in combat is really supposed to be done by the book. Read that document. You can go online and search for DM Prada ADDICT. It's the acronym ADDICT. And it'll explain exactly how it is supposed to be done. It's pretty cool, and it can get confusing because there is a lot of pieces for combat, especially, but initiative is broken down pretty awesome. So, anyways. So that's initiative in a nutshell. A little bit of history and how it's evolved from our standard side base to the more individual methods. The glory of D&D is you can choose to use whatever initiative type or system you want to use, whether you are running in BX or you're running in first edition or second or whatever. You can choose any of those methods because it will not break the game. You'll have the same effect. It's really up to you as the DM to make that call. That's what I think the glory of this of Dungeons and Dragons is. It's very modularized in that aspect. So it's your choice as a DM what you want to do. 3, 2, 1. All right, thanks so much for joining in on my little take on initiative. I really hope that I helped somebody make a decision on what to do in their games when it comes to this subject. I know that there's a lot of different ways to do this in book and out of book. So I would love to hear in the comments below what you do today, or what you've done in the past, or what you hope to do in the future. Anyways, yeah, let's talk about it in the comments. And if you have the heart, also, I'd love to get you to hit that like button, subscribe, tell your friends, share it, put the word out. I'm going to be doing a lot more content, and it's only going to get better and better and better. All right, you guys, have a great time, and take care of yourselves and keep on gaming. All right, bye-bye.